Since 2023, Mohammed has overtaken Noah as the top name for baby boys in England and Wales. Mohammed was the second most popular name in 2022 and has been in the top 10 most popular names since 2016. This is unsurprisingly reflected in the immigration trends. The United Kingdom experienced its highest recorded net migration ever in 2023, with approximately 1.2 million people arriving in the UK. Subtracting the people who emigrated leaves an estimated net migration rate of 900,000. These immigrants consist of 250,000 Indians, 55,000 Pakistanis, 141,000 Nigerians, 89,000 Chinese and 35,000 Ukrainians, among others. In contrast, immigrants from the EU numbered 129,000, and returning British nationals comprised 84,000. This unprecedented increase in migration primarily consisted of many Muslims, with India, Pakistan and Nigeria all having sizable Muslim populations. Britain's relaxed immigration policies have led to an increased frequency of violent crimes throughout the nation. Let's take a look at some of the Islamic terrorist attacks committed by these supposed asylum seekers. On June 20, 2020, Khairi Sadallah, a Libyan asylum seeker, carried out a brutal attack at Forbury Gardens in Reading. He stabbed 3 people to death in a park and injured 3 others. Khairi Sadallah was a Libyan national who came to the UK in 2012, claiming to seek asylum. Sadallah reportedly fled Libya due to the instability caused by the country's civil war. Despite there being many safe countries between Libya and the UK, Sadallah passed them all over, making him an economic migrant. However, he had a troubled history even after arriving in the UK, with a criminal record that included violence, theft, and public order offences. He was known to authorities for his erratic behaviour, as well as for showing an interest in Islamic extremism. At one point, he had been under MI5 scrutiny after being flagged for expressing extremist views. Despite these warnings and his criminal offences, Sadallah was not deported or given any serious consequences. Thus, he was allowed to carry out the brutal knife attack in Forbury Gardens, killing 3 hard-working British men, James Furlong, David Wales, and Joseph Ritchie Bennett. Another such extremist attack occurred on September 15, 2017, perpetrated by an 18-year-old Iraqi asylum seeker. An improvised explosive device was planted by Ahmed Hassan on a train at Parsons Green Underground Station in London. The device partially detonated, injuring 30 people in the process. Hassan entered the UK in 2015 as an unaccompanied minor and was placed in foster care. During interviews, he admitted to being trained by ISIS in Iraq, but later claimed he had been forced to join them. Despite his troubled background, he was enrolled in college using taxpayer money. He was not closely monitored and showed no outward signs of plotting an attack until the bombing occurred. This incident should not have occurred if asylum seekers were properly vetted and deported to third countries such as Rwanda. Yet it is not just the first generation of these asylum seekers that cause issues. Descendants of asylum seekers from Muslim-majority countries tend to be prone to radicalisation. This led to the Manchester Arena bombing, the UK's deadliest terrorist attack in recent history. On 22 May 2017, Salman Abedi detonated a suicide bomb in Manchester Arena, killing 22 and injuring over 100 during an Ariana Grande concert. Salman Abedi was a 22-year-old British citizen of Libyan descent. Born in Manchester to parents who had fled Libya during Muammar Gaddafi's regime, Abedi grew up in a tight-knit Libyan community. He had reportedly struggled with identity and belonging, oscillating between Western influences and radical Islamic ideologies that are prevalent in such communities. Abedi's behavior raised concerns among those who knew him, with reports of him expressing extremist views and exhibiting increasingly erratic behavior in the months leading up to the attack. He traveled to Libya multiple times, and during one trip, it is believed he may have been exposed to jihadist training. Security services had received intelligence about his links to Islamist groups, yet failed to put him under investigation and surveillance. Due to this failure, Abedi was able to construct the bomb at his home in Manchester and target a concert attended predominantly by young people and children. This raises the question, is Islam compatible with Western values? Some Britons think that Islamic culture clashes with Western civilization, believing it is utterly incompatible with democratic values and women's rights. They believe that immigrants should give up on their Muslim practices and adapt to British culture instead of the other way around. While some Muslim migrants manage to integrate into the host country, others refuse to do so, instead demanding the UK enforce their Sharia law. The European Court of Human Rights rules that the concept of Sharia law is incompatible with the fundamental principles of democracy. This doesn't stop a group of young Sunni Muslim men in East London who call themselves the Muslim Patrols. They patrolled the streets to enforce Sharia law, disregarding British laws and customs. They targeted individuals they deemed non-compliant with Islamic values, including women dressed immodestly, couples holding hands, and people perceived as gay. Videos of their activities, which included harassment and threats, were uploaded online but later removed for violating YouTube's policies. When interviewed, the leader of this group, Abu Rumaisa, said, "We don't recognize British law at all. We believe in Islam. We believe in Sharia. And that's what sets our parameters for right and wrong." Women's rights in Islamic countries rank among the lowest in the world, with countries like Afghanistan forbidding young girls from going to school. To see how Islamic treatment of women is dangerous to the West, we need to look at Germany. During Germany's celebrations of New Year's Eve in 2016, approximately 1,200 women were sexually assaulted, especially in the city of Cologne. In many of the incidents, while these women were in public spaces, they were surrounded and assaulted by large groups of men who were identified by officials as Muslim men of Arab or North African origin.
The guys who were groping you, can you describe what they looked like?
Ja, es waren halt Typen auf jeden Fall aus dem Ausland, so arabisch, marokkanisch.
German media reports stated that in Cologne, the perpetrators had mostly been described by the victims and witnesses as being North African, Arab, dark-skinned, and foreign. The Cologne police chief suggested that the perpetrators had come from countries where such sexual assaults by groups of men against women are common. Despite this statement, the German authorities once again failed to protect natives from violent foreigners.
Was the police not doing anything?
Ich stand nur da, auch als dieses Mädchen laut geschrien hat, hat einfach nur geguckt und nichts getan.
Statistics recorded by authorities indicated that out of the identified 153 suspects who were convicted, 2/3 were originally from Morocco or Algeria. 44% were asylum seekers, and another 12% were in Germany illegally. This case shows the danger these Islamic migrants place natives in. Now, murderers and sexual offenders roam the streets with impunity, threatening the safety of peaceful British men and women. Britain, as well as continental Europe, needs to rethink its migration policies. Many think that Europe is losing its values, it is lacking in security, it is losing its identity, and has no pride anymore. Following Trump's victory in the United States, Britons wish for their government to follow suit and adopt a Britain First policy. The UK must decisively kick out the criminals who do not have a legal claim to residence, as well as police their borders more effectively. Most Britons still see themselves as national citizens who desire to live in a community with a shared sense of collective identity. National identity remains the most dominant form of collective identity globally. A nation's identity includes its traditions, culture, history, language, religion, and more. This identity is threatened by the masses of Islamic migrants pouring in. As a result, anti-immigrant protests in the UK have surged, driven by concerns over security and national identity. Many Britons, particularly in poorer regions, feel overwhelmed by rising immigration, which has shifted from predominantly EU to non-EU sources since Brexit. A record number of undocumented migrants and asylum seekers, mostly adult men, have entered the UK illegally, with many housed in poorer areas without local consent. This has heightened security concerns, as these individuals have been proven to contribute to rising crime rates. While many liberals call it racist, opposition to mass immigration is not rooted in widespread racism, but in a desire to preserve national identity, safety, and community cohesion. In recent years, the tide has turned against mass migration. Most Britons, including non-white citizens, now support reduced immigration levels. Across the world, countries are shifting right, with people finally waking up to the devastating effect of open borders. In the US, Trump is deporting criminals at a record rate. Across Europe, multiple right-wing parties are poised to win upcoming elections, pledging in their campaigns to stop mass migration and deport illegals. The benefit of living in a democracy like Britain instead of an authoritarian Islamic state is your ability to vote. It's ultimately up to the people who live in the receiving country to decide how immigration should happen. It's called democracy, and politicians, as they are now learning, disregard it at their own peril. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. We invite you to leave a comment below to tell us of your opinion on this matter.